because I know we're doing this during the day, but I think our special guest has just hopped on. I am super excited about this, y'all. Y'all already know. I hope I don't cry. But let me tell you, I first have to give him a formal introduction. And then I just want to send a personal note of gratitude to you, Mark Batterson, for all that you've done to transform my life and thousands of other lives of people on my team. I'm going to keep it together.
We're going to be looking at widespread 60s back in the courthouse. Areas in northern Ohio, especially spots right along the lakeshore.
But Mark Batterson, he serves as the lead pastor of National Community Church in Washington, D.C. National Community Church is also owned and it operates Ebenezer Coffee House, the Miracle Theater, as well as the DC Dream Center. Mark holds the Doctor of Ministry degree from Regent University and is the New York Times best-selling author of 19 books, y'all, including The Circle Maker, my all-time favorite, In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day, Wild Goose Chase, Chase the Lion. He also recently released Double Blessing, Whisper, Play the Man, and our current book study is on one of his also recently released books, Win the Day. It has been totally transformational for my team. Mark Batterson, I cannot tell you how incredibly grateful we are to have you on our call today and how generous you are to be able to get on a complete strangers team call. You know, nothing about me, nothing about my business, nothing about the people that I happen to have the opportunity to lead and guide every single day. But almost 6 years ago to the day, Mark Batterson, I was on a beach with my husband and my two girls. We were reading, I was reading the book, The Circle Maker, for the first time in Mexico. And I read this book cover to cover. And honest to goodness, when I came back home, I was reeling about this book, reeling. And I came back and I told my team about it. I did multiple training calls about this book. Eventually, we did a book study on The Circle Maker. And then my church then adopted this whole draw the circle book study in the beginning of the year. They've been doing that multiple years. And then when the day came out for the pre-release, I ordered the book ahead of time. It came to my mailbox on December 29th. I was super excited to open up the book. The cover itself led me to believe that I was going to have to do this as a first quarter book study for my team. And I just want to tell you, from reading The Circle Maker in 2015, and what you taught me about faith, persistence, and hard work, goal setting and deadlines, getting out of your comfort zone and overcoming rejection and disappointments, and truly how praying circles around your biggest dreams and greatest fears, how that's created a ripple effect of change for the lives of so many people that are not only represented on this call, but thousands of others. And so I just want to send you my greatest and deepest form of gratitude for being willing to hop into this space with us and just to pour into us for 30 minutes. So you take it away, Mark Batterson. Thank you so much.
Wow, Robin, you almost made me cry. Those were very kind words, and I'm humbled by them. And we're gonna go for it. We're just gonna jump in and start. Everybody, because I want to, what you shared is so meaningful, but I want to give context to it. So everybody show me your strong hand, unless some of you are driving. I think, Jason, you might be driving. Let's keep your hands at 10 and 2, brother. But let me see your strong hand. If you're, this hand to me represents God-given gifts that God's given to you to be used. And it's things that you do naturally. But now show me that other hand, that weak hand. The weak hand represents those things that don't come naturally. But the last time I checked, God's power was made perfect in weakness. And so don't be too quick to dismiss the weak hand. And God's given us both of those hands. And the reason why I share that is, I'm humbled that a few of the books that I've written have impacted your life, Robin, and some others. But please understand, it's my weak hand. I write with my weak hand. So when I was 22 years old, I felt this calling to write, But at the same time, I took a graduate assessment that showed a low aptitude for writing. In other words, whatever you do, don't write books. Do not inflict that on the world. But aren't you grateful that God doesn't just call the qualified, he qualifies the called. And so if you're called to do something, God is going to make up the difference and help you do it. And sometimes when you do things with the weak hand, you're not going to take credit for it because you know you aren't capable of it. And I would just say that prayer is the difference between the best you can do and the best God can do. And I'm believing for the best God can do through each and every one of us. And so, Robin, many, many years ago, when I wrote my first book, I decided I'm going to take my shoes off because I feel like this is holy ground and I need God's anointing to do it. And when I use this keyboard right here, I don't type with 26 letters of the English alphabet. I worship God with 26 letters. I obey God with 26 letters. I take thoughts captive and make them obedient to Christ, 2 Corinthians 10:5. And somehow, some way, uh, about 20 books have come out of that keyboard. And I formed a prayer team and just said, hey, would you pray that the Lord would put these books in the right hands at the right time? And so I'm believing that no one's on this call by accident. We're here by divine appointment. And I really come with one purpose, and that is to speak encouragement. And so, is it okay? I'm going to drop a seed of faith right here. And some of you, I think you're reading it together, if I'm not mistaken. And so you remember at the outset, I said almost anyone can accomplish almost anything if they work at it long enough, hard enough, and smart enough. And I stand by those words. And it's not necessarily going to be your strong hand. Sometimes it's the weak hand, but it's about doing it day in and day out. So whatever goal you're going after, whatever habit you're trying to make or break, it's about reverse engineering it and then creating these daily habits. And so, um, I pastor a church here in DC. We live on Capitol Hill. In fact, this will be fun. My office, I'm in my office right now. Oh, I did read 3,000 books before I wrote one, and a few of them are back here here behind me. Because you can't just pray like it depends on God. You do have to work like it depends on you. Um, but so I'm in my office right above Ebenezer's Coffee House, this coffee house that we own and operate. And you know what I've found? When you go after God-sized dreams, it's always going to take longer than you think, and it's actually going to be harder than what you hope for. But the net result is going to be so much greater than what you could have asked or imagined. But it's about these daily disciplines. And so, I would ask you mentally, emotionally, relationally, physically, spiritually, what are those daily habits? In business speak, it would be the lead measures, right? That are going to produce those lag measures um, that you desire. But then it's about figuring out how to put those into practice day in and day out. And so, I wish I could say as a pastor that spiritual disciplines come automatically. Uh, Newsflash, they don't. I have to work really hard at it like everybody else. And so what I do is I do a little bit of habit stacking. And you read some about this already when you ate the frog. And how fun was that? Eat the frog, right? Um, Listen, if you ever have to eat a live frog, do it first thing in the morning, then you'll know that the hardest thing is behind you. It's still hilarious to me, having written that a long, long time ago. But so the way my day starts is I get my cup of coffee, my small latte, 2 shots from Ebenezer's. Why? Because the Holy Spirit plus caffeine equals awesome. And and I do my daily Bible reading plan. And in my experience, you just never outgrow the basics, whatever it is that you're doing. And so Here's what I want to do for a couple of moments. I want to share just a few thoughts when it comes to really winning the day, making the most of it, and maybe even doubling down on some things that I think are really important, and sharing a couple of thoughts and ideas that may add some extra value, because that would be my hope in prayer, to add a little extra value, because I know that now, having been on this call, as you read the book, you're going to hear my voice in your head. I'm so sorry about that. There's nothing I can do about that. So at this juncture, we're going to have a little bit of fun, and then I'll jump into a few of these practices. And who knows, maybe we'll even have just a couple of moments at the very end, Robin, in case there's a question or even a clarification. So, fun fact. Do you like fun facts? I like fun facts. As I was recording the audiobook, um, I was talking about, remember the part in Burying Dead Yesterdays about how God loves naming and renaming and giving nicknames. Even Jesus, did this. Um, as I was recording that part of the book, the sound engineer stopped me and said, "Hey, I have to tell you something that's so fun." He said, way back when
Look
in
who's
Hollywood, they used to come up with stage names by um, what was your first pet's name, and that's your first name, and then your uh, mother's maiden name, and that was your last name. And so this is a team. I know that you're kind of spread out all over the place, but we need to get to know each other a little bit better. And so um, over there on the chat, I'm just going to have a little bit of fun here, if that's okay. And I will share my stage name. And this is in all play. I'm Muffy Johnson. Uh, that is my stage name. And I am going somewhere with this. I just feel like this is an all play. We need to get to know each other a little bit better. So I want to hear what, don't just laugh at me. You need to share. You need to share. Um, I think we'll have a little bit of fun here with the Frenchy Cook. Bobo Thompson. All right. Boo. Boo Darby. Sparky Cook. These are fun. These are fun. Hey, here's a little bit of what I'm doing. Um, I want to remind us, leadership is really hard right now. Life in many ways is really hard right now. I think it's 18% of leaders that feel qualified to lead on a survey I saw, and I'm wondering who those 18% are. Um, COVID has taken a toll. Yes, I mean, just hard to get a sense of normalcy. And I know it's different in different places of the country, but you have a COVID crisis, you have racial tension and political polarization, and we find ourselves at this unique moment where it's hard. There's just um, there's a lot of things happening on social media that I think eh, exacerbate kind of the rhetoric and negativity. And I don't know. Come on, y'all. We're having a hard time getting along with each other these days. Um, and and I really believe that, one, we are here for such a time as this, for such a place as this, that this is a moment to stand in the gap as peacemakers, grace givers, tone setters, that as a Christ follower, that is part of my responsibility. But I think also in moments like this, I think Edwin Friedman said that leadership is being a non-anxious presence. Just think about that for a moment, and think about it in relation to who you work with and your family. Think about your marriage. Think about your kids. Um, we've got to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves emotionally. Part of that is nurturing this sense of humor. And that's kind of why I had you put some of those fun names in the sidebar, because I want everybody's best smile. Can I get everybody's best smile on the Brady Bunch? I'm kind of flipping through here. I see Dana and Nicole, Tanisha. That smile's working. You got it going. Um, and Ursula, that's a beautiful smile. Uh, Kelly, I see that smile. I just think so much of leadership is the energy that we draw from the word of God, from the spirit of God, and then leading out of this holy confidence, not out of a nervous energy, not out of an anxiety, but to really be grounded in this season. How many of you know, if you have kids, that your kids pick up on your energy really quick? They will eat your lunch if you don't know how to figure that out. In fact, we have a seven month old puppy who can read my energy. Even she gets it. And so I guess I'm saying this is a stay calm and carry on moment. With all that is happening around us, we've got to be leaders that are leading out of the convictions that God has given us. I love the Stockdale paradox that you confront the brutal facts, but you do it with unwavering faith. Don't lose faith in the end of the story. And so, well, what does that have to do with win the day? Well, I mean, if we don't start at a place of positivity, we're in trouble because then the day starts on the wrong note. Now, you might be thinking, Mark, I thought you were a pastor. I thought you might talk about something more biblical or even more significant than positivity. Okay, hold on a second, because the last time I checked, it was 10 negative people that kept the Israelites out of the promised land. That it was negativity that cost them 40 years. It was negativity that cost them an entire generation. So I don't think this is just feel good uh, something. This is about creating positive energy that is based on faith on the promises of God. And so I think so much of leadership is that emotional intelligence, and a lot of it is leading ourselves. So yesterday, those of you who have ever had a bout with cancer, you'll appreciate what I'm about to say. Yesterday, my wife rang the bell. 21 days of radiation, and you read about her first bout and win the day. Little did we know that we would, right before the book came out, get a second diagnosis, and it was a sucker punch. But I tell you what, kiss the wave. It's exactly what we did. You have to kiss the wave that throws you against the rock of ages. And we asked the question all over again: what have you come to teach us? And so last night we had a little celebratory dinner to celebrate her ending her radiation treatments. And you know what? We have to keep ourselves in a place of positivity, in a place where now we're able to encourage others. Now we're able to bless others. And for what it's worth, the Lasada ratio, we need 2.9 compliments for every criticism. That's powerful. In other words, are you dishing out as a leader? Are you dishing out three compliments for every constructive criticism? And parents, it's even tougher for us, isn't it? Because it's so hard to sometimes, like, you get into this no default setting, or you get into this where you can catch your kids doing things wrong, but we also need to catch them doing things right. And whatever the context, I think about three compliments for one criticism is really, really important. I'm going to say one more thing on this note, and I'm trusting that there's going to be one or two value adds for you, that you're going to have one or two things that you walk away with, that, hey, this is going to help me as a leader. So uh, I want to share one more thing and just kind of double down on it. I have a spiritual father named Dick Foth, And he says that there are two kinds of people in the world. Uh, Here I am and there you are people. He said, here I am people walk into a room and it's all about them. Their ego barely fits through the door. It's kind of all about me, myself, and I. And we all know a few people like that that sometimes lack a little bit of that self awareness. But then there is the there you are people. They walk in a room and it's all about everyone else. It's all about adding value to other people's lives. And so I'm going to flip through here and just say, I'm on page 3 now of my Brady Bunch Zoom screen, and I'll just say, Amy, there you are, Julie, uh, Monifa, and Dawn, and Christy, and Lorraine. There you are. There you are. There you are. I think that this is a moment where a lot of people in our culture are pretty self-absorbed, and I'm afraid there are some leaders that it is here I am, like, but I think the people that bless other people, the people that change the world are there you are people. And that's what makes for a great team and a great organization. And so I don't know if that's what you knew you were signing up for on this Zoom call today. Like, Mark, that's a little off script with Win the Day, but I don't think it is. I think it's critical that leadership starts with self leadership, and self leadership starts with our head space and our heart space. And if our headspace isn't right, if we aren't telling ourselves the right stories, how are we going to be telling the right stories to our families or to the people we work with, or even to the people that um, we're maybe giving even a sales pitch to? Like, you can't tell the right story to others unless you get that internal monologue right. And then heart space is so critical these days, that we're operating out of a place of strength and a place of positivity. And, only you can figure out how to help yourself be in that right headspace and heart space. But Laura and I have done a couple of things. Uh, and I can't even remember. I hate to admit this. Can I make a confession? Uh, I don't 100% remember 100% of what I've written. So I can't remember. I think I talked about this, that when Laura got her first diagnosis, that we started hitting comedy clubs. Did I share that in the book? I think in Kiss the Wave, that what we wanted to do was feed ourselves a few more laughs because we felt like we needed it. And and you've got to find ways to kind of guard yourself. So one thing we do on our day off now is we do day off, phone off, because there's so much white noise that well, and here's a question that I've been asking, and I'll ask it rhetorically, but I think it's a question that's worth thinking about. What percentage of our thoughts, words, and actions are a regurgitation of the news we're watching and the social media we're following? And what percentage is a revelation that we're getting from God's word? And that question right there is going to have a lot to do with how we flip the script. All right, let me take just, oh my goodness, time is flying. Time is flying, you guys. And I feel like I'm just kind of shotting some thoughts and ideas. And so let me bring this in for a landing with just a moment here at the end, Robin, to see if there's any questions or clarifications. But this
I,
is
I
where,
have a question for you.
yeah,
I
go
have a
for it.
I have a question for you, Mark. So, in the chapter called The Grand Gesture, you talk specifically about fixating on sins of commission while ignoring sins of omission.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that as it relates to just making life changing decisions for your life and your family as it relates to business?
Yeah, I love that question. I think, Robin, we have to count the cost. but not just the actual cost. We have to count the opportunity cost. And that is the tougher part of the calculation. I think it's true in life, true in business. Many, many years ago, when Amazon went public, because I was reading so many books that I purchased from them, I thought about buying their stock when it went public, and I didn't. And it didn't cost me a dime, but I went back and did the math. Oh, if I had only put a little bit of money into that stock when it went public. So there was an opportunity cost. So I think, Robin, it's about disciplining ourselves to not just look at the actual cost, but consider that opportunity cost. And so at the end of the day, our greatest regrets will be the things we woulda, coulda, shoulda done. And I think having that mindset is pretty critical. And one practical way of doing that is to continually, um, when you budget, for example, like my wife and I do a 2-day retreat every December where we do calendar, budget, word of the year, verse of the year. And when you budget, you're always thinking about actual expense, but is there some opportunity expense? Um, In fact, we went to Italy for our 15th anniversary because for the first 14, we hadn't dropped much cash on our anniversary. And we thought at year 15, we need to do something that we're going to remember a long time from now. And so that's a good example of just kind of counting those opportunity costs as well as the actual costs.
Thank you so much. Does anybody else have one more question? We probably have like 2 minutes left. Anybody?
This is Tanisha. I have a question. Thank you so much, Mr. Batterson, for being on the call. So grateful for you to be here. And I absolutely love reading your books. I have Circle Maker and Win the Day and probably more. But what is your favorite? What's the one book that you feel like we should all have on our shelves and we should totally read because it was your favorite to write?
Oh man, Tanisha, that's a hard question. You might as well ask me which one of my 3 kids I love the most. um, I think, In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day holds a special place in my heart because it was a first book. But you have to realize I wrote that 15 years ago. Um, and that's a lot of Mark Battersons ago. Um, you know, we continue to grow and learn, but I think that one has a special place. And then Primal, I titled the book wrong. I'm just going to say that it's a wrong title because people think like some kind of what is that? Some Primal, is that like some romantic novel about something that I don't know if I should read that. It's about love God, heart, soul, mind, and strength, and it's one that I wish I'd titled a little bit differently. But I would say this: I think Win the Day. Um, you read to the end of that one, it's going to put you in a great place, and then you can take a peek at that backlist. But I'm this would be fun, Robin, and I want to respect your time as well. But when you ask that question, Tanisha, this might be interesting to some of you. Uh, People ask me why I write, and I guess the short answer is I feel called, and so to not write would be disobedience for me. It would be a sin of omission. Um, but I know next to nothing about my great great grandparents. I barely know their names. And I think my great great grandfather was maybe worked on a train, maybe as a conductor. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I hope, should the Lord tear, I want my great great grandkids to know what got me up in the morning, what lit my fire, what was I willing to live for and die for. And so to me, I write books as a time capsule to the third and fourth generation. And if anybody else reads them in between, that's wonderful. Robin, if you pick up a book and start reading it on the beach, that's even better. That's phenomenal. But I think it's about operating out of the calling that God's given me. And so it's just a joy. I am writing for that third and fourth generation, but I can't tell you how blessed I am to even share 30 minutes together with everybody on this call. And I would just say, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord be gracious to you, make his face shine on you. May the Lord turn his countenance towards you and give you peace. I just wanted to pronounce a blessing on everybody on this call. Thanks for letting me do that.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark. You blessed us so much today, and we just appreciate you. Thanks, everybody, for hopping on.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank
this.
you, Mark. We appreciate